Let's just wait for a few seconds to start before we have a few more participants. Yes. Good evening, everyone. I'm Anand from GMATWhiz, and today we have Prabhat here with us, and we are going to talk about top MBAs in Europe, and then we'll also learn about different kinds of school you should be applying to, and then we'll learn in detail about HEC Paris, and then about the application process at Cambridge Judge. So let's dive in with that. So before we start with the real content of the webinar, let's talk about the different sections here. So the first section, which is very small, I'll tell you a little bit about GMATWhiz and why this is a really great platform to associate yourself with in your MBA journey. The second will be the main section of this webinar, in which Prabhat will take us through his journey and his experiences of the application processes of multiple B schools and in details about HEC Paris and Cambridge Judge. Then the last section will be dedicated to you. It will be about question and answers from your end, and we'll try to answer each and every question. So GMATWhiz is the only and truly personalized course for your GMAT preparation. What do I mean by when I say personalized? So when you start your GMAT preparation with GMATWhiz, it gives you a personalized study plans, which reflects your real-time improvements or real-time lagging in your modules. And after that, it comes up with a study plan which is also tailored for your progress, for your growth. And in that you can track how much you have covered, and this study plan is also improvised based on your progress, and you can always see how much have you covered in the total course, and what could be your expected performance on the GMAT. And as per the GMAT Club's reviews, GMATWhiz, the performance difference in students' performance after taking a course from GMATWhiz and from the other competitors. So you can see the results that the difference before and after GMATWhiz is quite huge. So definitely give it a try. And we are doing this session in association with Mentoroni. Mentoroni is a platform using which B school aspirants and MBA aspirants can reach out to their mentors from their target B schools. And and through Mentoroni, we are also trying to support a social cause. So please feel free to check it out. The link will also be in the description. So what are we here for? What is this session all about? So this is where when we get into the second part of this presentation. So the major focus areas for this session will be advantages of MBA program from Europe. When I say from Europe, then I mean that why MBA in Europe and not in US, Canada, or other parts of Asia. Then parameters to check while selecting a European B school, because there are like so many countries here, then so many good schools in all of these countries. So what you should be looking at and how you should come up with your list of target B schools. After that, we have in-depth process info sharing session of HEC Paris and Cambridge Judge, and then then we have how to find jobs after MBA, the main thing, right, in European markets, and then we have Q&A. So with that, I'll transfer the session to Prabhat. And yeah.
So hi everyone. I'll just share my screen. Thanks for joining, by the way, and we'll just start our presentation in a while. So Anand, I hope my screen is visible.
Prabhat, you need to share the presentation content.
One second.
Not the screen, the presentation content.
One second. So is my presentation visible now?
Can you Click on the play.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, it is. All right.
cool. So, sorry for the technical issues, but
All
yeah,
right.
let's start. So, hi everyone, thanks for joining the session, and we would love to take you with the journey of application process. So, I'm Prabhat Gupta. I'm a supply chain professional with around 7+ years of experience in consulting, entrepreneurship, and e-commerce platforms. I've always chosen the roles around strategic planning, with a core focus on customer experience. So I worked with KPMG for around 3.5 years and consulted clients in Europe and Asia Pacific in the domain of pharmaceutical, banking, project management, asset management, etc. Then post that, I went on to start my own firm, Greensmith. It was a B2B marketplace. We used to sell fresh fruits and vegetables directly from farmers to core businesses such as wholesalers, traders, food processing companies, five-star hotels, restaurants, etc. And it was a good journey. I got to learn a lot. Post that, we got a stiff competition from the existing players in the B2C segment, also entered into the B2B part. So that's when I decided to move on my journey and close down the shop with Greensmith. And that's when I decided to join Dunzo as strategy and planning lead. Dunzo is a Google funded hyper local delivery startup in India. And my core role hovered around process optimization, cost optimization, creating new business revenue verticals, and also around the product optimization. So yeah, so this has been my overall journey, and now I'm going to HEC Paris for my MBA. So yeah, let's start. So overall, if you see, in terms of career progression, which any particular international MBA provides you, there are three facets to it. One is role change, second is industry change, third is geography change. So basically, if you're doing an MBA, you would be able to change either of these, either two of these three. So maybe you're change like mostly with an international MBA, people are looking to change their geographies, but maybe you can change your role also, you can change your industry also. Very few people change all three of them, but generally, let's say if you are a engineer and you have been working in the product side of things, or the engineering side of things, maybe you want to shift towards the business side of things and to the, let's say, program management, product management, right? So you can change that role. Or maybe let's say if you're working in manufacturing industry, chemicals, anything, you can shift towards, let's say, e-commerce or any sort of, let's say, consulting, CPG industry, consumer packaged goods. So you can change your industries, you can change your role, you can change your geography. Mostly students generally changed two out of these three. Yeah. So going further, so what are the key advantages of doing MBA from Europe over the renowned MBA programs in US, Canada, and Asia, right? So from Europe, generally, first of all, we can talk about the top-notch European schools, which is London Business School, Cambridge Judge, and Oxford State in UK, HEC Paris INSEAD in France, ESSEC in Spain, IASE in Spain. So these are some of the top-notch schools, for from which you can have an international MBA experience, and at the same time you can live that European culture. So, what are the key advantages of doing your MBA from these European colleges, right? So, first of all, the overall entrepreneurship is picking pretty well in Europe, because Europe was known for, let's say, travel industry, as well as like tourism, as well as pharmaceutical in France. Then MNCs, majorly financial MNCs in UK. But now fintech industry, edtech, e-commerce, it's picking pretty well in especially in the Eastern Europe as well as in the Western Europe, right? So it will provide you a good culture if you actually want to explore entrepreneurship from your side. Secondly, obviously, Europe provides a very good work-life balance with their 8-hour work policy, in which you also have a 2-hour lunch included in it, right? So it depends on company to company. Like maybe let's say if you're working in Amazon Europe, Luxembourg, maybe you're working for more. It depends on your ownership, it depends on your role. But generally Europe has a better work life balance as compared to Asia and US, right? um, Apart from that, like it is a very old saying, like, Europeans generally, they work to live, and others, they generally live to work. So it goes without saying. And that's how, like, Europe has a difficulty in terms of languages. But again, like, they're very, very open towards international students, because nowadays they are encouraging students to join their programs, and, like, have an overall experience of European culture, right? And again, like, if you're studying in any of the Schengen nation, with one Schengen visa, like, you will be able to explore 26 Schengen nations very easily, right? So if you're looking to have a balanced life, if you're looking to have explore entrepreneurship, let's say if you're looking to travel, and explore the world, and then, like, overall have a friendly culture towards international immigrants, like, Europe is the place to look at, right? Now we'll cover, like, what are the key factors to look at, like, while selecting your B schools, because at the end, like, we would want to know, like, what is suitable for us in terms of selecting the B schools, right? So what are the key factors to it? These are the key factors. Like, the duration of program is very, very important, because generally in US business schools, or Canadian business schools, as well as in Asia, you'll have more business schools offering 2-year MBA program, which provides you a slight bandwidth in terms of, like, trying out new things, internships with new industries, newer electives. Generally in Europe, you have 1-year MBA program, and like, basis that you can choose, like, you also have schools offering 10 months program, you also have schools offering 16 months program. So it depends, like, what sort of duration of program you're comfortable with. That is the one factor to look at. Second thing is, like, it's the most important thing, I guess, is the batch size. Like, you have to see, like, what you're seeking from your MBA experience, right? Like, let's say if you only want to go to a top notch B school and get placed, and second perspective would be to, like, actually learn newer experiences from your cohort, from your batchmates, right? So if it is a very large cohort, it will restrict your overall interactions, and, like, you would not be knowing your whole cohort, to that fact, right? So if you have a smaller batch size, let's say somewhere around 300, 400, it's much easier for you to explore and see, like, what all experiences everyone is having. At the same time, you can see, like, what are different industries they're coming from, and then you can just correlate and see, like, whether you would want to change your role or industry as per their experiences or not, right? So apart from that, location is very, very important, because overall, um, like, it has to align with your short term and long term goals, right? So geography is very, very key factor. Apart from that, as we all know, like, in Europe, generally people are concerned about their final placement and their post MBA job, right? So maybe you would want to research more on, like, respective industries for that particular B school, what are their placement records, and at the same time, how much it is picking. Let's say entrepreneurship is low right now, but how is it picking? Let's say consulting, how's the MBB consulting, let's say McKinsey, BCG, Bain, how they are recruiting from that particular business school, or whatever your target companies are. You can just, like, reach out to the alumni, reach out to some of the people there, and try and gauge, like, whether that school will be suitable for you or not. Then there is culture and environmental aspect, like, not all students focus on this. But let's say if you're going to a particular school, and it's not a undergrad school, it's a business school, right? And you would be much mature in terms of approaching your overall career, right? So you'll form bonds and long lasting relationships. So maybe you wanna see, like, what sort of culture, party culture, or let's say collaborative culture, any particular business school is offering, right? And at the same time, alumni network, it's very key for any particular business school. But this is a factor generally, like, it will be covered, because all the top notch schools generally have very in-depth alumni network. So maybe, like, you can skip that, but again, it's a very good factor to look at. Then again, in terms of entrepreneurship, let's say if you want to explore entrepreneurship, because these days generally people are looking to work on their set of ideas, right? So what sort of courses, clubs, any sort of entrepreneurs from your from that particular business school, um, that it will help you in terms of having an in-depth understanding of entrepreneurship, and to how to approach your set of idea, right? So yeah, going further, so basically we have talked about like the key factors, we have talked about the key advantages, right? But in terms of selecting your business schools, you need to see how you would be going about and deciding the list of schools you want, right? So um, this is my personal take. Like, it's not something which anybody has told me. It's not a particular structure, but generally it's very logical to understand that overall, if you have a profile and then you approach your GMAT score, then you have a particular preference for any particular college, right? These are the three factors which will combine work in your favor to decide a particular college or not. It can be a this is the structure which I followed. Like, you can choose one long short school. Let's say your profile is very good, but let's say you're not a, let's say, breed from Harvard, right? So Harvard can be a long shot, but still you have a personal preference to apply for Harvard, right? So it can be a long shot for you, but still you can go ahead and apply for it. Apart from that, you can surely choose two average short schools, where you have a good chance of getting selected, and then there are two schools for which you have a sure shot chance to be chosen, right? Why it is structured like that? Because at the end you have to see that GMAT and then applications, like, it's a costly affair, right? And you would want to get selected at least in couple of schools, so that the time and energy and the money you're investing, you can get some fruit out of it, right? So yeah, understand your profile, understand your GMAT score, set your target GMAT score basis that if you have a very good profile, even like let's say average GMAT score of 730, maybe if you have a very good profile, you can get chosen in that school with a 720 or 710. You never know. So basis that, you can plan your overall journey in terms of preparing for GMAT, and that's how you can go ahead and apply for particular set of schools. Then this is very important, um, go and hire an admission consultant. Like, this will help you a lot, because no matter how aware we are, but I think it takes a professional to provide you a professional advice, right? So admission consultant, and it like generally they range from 50,000 to 2 lakhs. It depends on your overall preference and your financial preference. uh, you can choose to hire a particular admission consultant, and they will provide your professional advice as per your profile, right? Like, the selection of right mix is a very customized plan. It's not something which is a sure shot pathway which you can be followed by other student and same applies on you, right? So it's a very customized plan. Understand your profile, understand what you want to achieve from MBA, and then set your GMAT score. And again, what sort of letter of recommendations you have. Recommenders are very, very important, because they would be establishing you as a future leader in front of the admissions committee, right? So go and hire an admission consultant, so that they can share their professional advice and choose the right schools for you. Now you can see whether you agree with them or not, but in this way you will have some factors to look at, and they will help you out in terms of selecting the right schools. So this is my personal advice. Like, this is what I did, and I think it will work in your favor also. Once you're selected in a particular school, reach out to the alumni in advance, for sure. If you're applying to any particular business school, if you have an alumni or any sort of network of from that particular school, it will work in your favor, because they can let you know about all the factors we have discussed about: the culture, the network, the courses, the professors, the overall placement records, the overall set of cohort and batch size and everything, right? So this will help you out, because admission consultant can let you know about the school which uh, which matches with your profile. But alumni will let you know what actually goes inside the campus, right? So you can always reach out to the alumni of those particular schools in advance of your application to just see, like, whether it suits your profile or not. And vice versa, like, maybe that school is very very long shot, like how one would know, like, whether it's a long shot school or some medium shot school. So those alumni can help you out, like, you can understand their profile as well. So yeah. So finally, we are coming to like my future alma mater, HEC Paris, right? So what are the MBA insights I have for you guys for HEC Paris? So first of all, like, let's jump on to the question, the key question, like, why did I choose HEC Paris over others? So just to give you a context, I applied to 5 business schools: ISB in India, Cambridge Judge, Oxford State, and INSEAD and HEC Paris. And HEC was the number one preference for me, and there are particular reasons for it. These are the reasons for it. Like, overall, I found, like, HEC Paris offers you the right length of program. It's my personal belief that, like, it can happen that a 10 months program may be suitable for your set of profile and your set of post MBA goals. But for me, I wanted to explore with some new electives also. I wanted to explore with some new experiences as well. So I wanted to have a right length of program. As for me, it's 16 months plus 6 months HEC offers you. 6 months is the optional internship, which you can opt at the end. Like, let's say, like HEC, let's say September batch. So HEC operates in 2 batches. One is September batch and one is January batch. So I'm going for the September 21 intake. So my overall MBA will start from September 21 and it will end on December 22. Right now, I can opt to have more 6 months of internship, and finally our convocation and everything will be done in June 23. Right. So now it can happen that, like, mostly with all the students, as it seems that, like, your job is starting from January 23. Right. So then you can leave out this optional internship. But let's say if you're going to a particular company which operates in a particular periodic manner, and then, like, let's say you're joining them in January, so you can opt to have, let's say, 5 or 6 months of internship. So it was the right length of program for me because it provides me such a sort of, like, customization and to choose, like, my overall MBA journey. Second thing, of course, is the smaller cohort size. So unlike LBS and INSEAD, where we have somewhere around 700 to 800 student cohort, HEC has a much smaller batch size, which aligns with my overall MBA like, desires. So it offers a batch size of 300 to 320 students, and, like, as I spoke earlier, it allows you to interact better with your cohort and, like, then learn from their set of roles, their set of industries, their set of experiences. So it can help you in terms of choosing the right role and right industry for you. And it's fine, like, we can talk about during MBA application what sort of role we want, what sort of industry we want. But like, honestly, nobody knows. Like, maybe you're going to an MBA school and then you're deciding later on that, like, this is the particular industry or role I would want to pursue from my side. Right. So it can happen, like, and that's how, like, the smaller cohort size allows you to do that. Right. And then it's a special thing. It's a very different like, association which HEC has with French army. Is the, like, they organize a special leadership camp in partnership with French National Army. And it's a 2 or 3 days camp, and it allows you to, like, learn the importance of discipline and teamwork skills in your life. Right. So like, this is something which I couldn't find in any of other MBA programs. It's very different. Right. So these sort of experiences, that they take you to another level, and maybe you can learn out from these new experiences. Right. So that's how, like, these are the three major factors I can think of why I always wanted to go to HEC. Yeah. So now we'll talk about application process at HEC. So it's pretty much like, the application process for any business schools. It's pretty much the same. I'll just go through it. Just one second. Yeah. So like, Generally, for HEC, a GMAT score of 700 plus would work fine. Again, it depends on profile to profile, but maybe if you're it's a saying, if you're an Indian male engineer, maybe you would want to have 20 or 30 more points, right? So that's how it works. And apart from GMAT score, in terms of application for HEC, you have one essay, and it involves couple of short answer questions, couple of long answer questions. Overall, you can see at 7 to 8 long answer questions in it, and somewhere around 2 to 3 short answer questions in it. Apart from that, you need to submit to LORs. So your recommenders, you need to take a recommendation from two of your recommenders. And it's pretty much the same process for all business school. Maybe for some school it's one LOR. Maybe for some school they can also allow you to have 2 plus LOR, right? As in case of Oxford. So it depends, what sort of overall mentors you have in your life, and from where you would want to take those recommendations. Then essays involved some generic questions related to your experiences around and hobbies and interests, and your academic experiences, your certifications, your strengths, your weaknesses, your post MBA goals, your short term goals, your long term goals. So these are the generic questions. You should always know, why you want to do MBA and why MBA now, right? So because if you don't, like, overall I can tell you, MBA application process is a soul searching experience, right? You would hit each and every experience of your life in your MBA applications to multiple colleges, right? They would ask you such questions so that you can think, why of everything, like why you want to do MBA, why from this particular geography, why this particular school, right? And let's say in my case, why Europe, why HC, why MBA, why now, right? So this will take you to another level in terms of thinking. You have to understand, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and what you actually want to achieve from your MBA, right? So it's a complete soul searching experience, and I've learned a lot about myself post MBA application. So yeah, that's about it. Essays will be there. Some essays will also be there around unconventional questions, again to check your thought process. So it can be networking skills, leadership skills, teamwork skills, different sort of thought process around those skills. So for example, for me at HEC, there was a question: imagine a life entirely different from the one you lead now, and what would it be, right? So it's a very different question. If someone tells you what is your identity apart from whatever you're doing right now, so it's a very different question, right? So it will take you to think a lot, how would you choose your life if you're not living your life as of right now, right? So then again, there was a question around like this, like what monument or site would you advise a first time visitor to your country or city to discover, and why, right? So it takes you to the journey of exploring a new city or a site or monument or country. And then you have to talk about why did you choose this particular city or site. And then you have to uh, add some anecdotes around your personal experiences as well. So these are the things which you will never imagine from your side that it will be asked in an MBA application. But that's how it is. Everyone is trying to understand your set of thought process and what sort of experiences you have had, and then what did you learn from those sort of experiences, right? So um, while you're writing your essays, you're submitting your LORs. If you get selected for the interview, generally for HEC, during interview they ask in advance the selected candidates to prepare a presentation, right? And that presentation can be of 4 slides only. It can be of anything, any particular idea, any particular industry. But you just have to keep in mind the 4 key philosophies of HEC MBA. That is diversity, leadership, passion, and innovation. So innovation hovers around entrepreneurship, leadership skills you will be gaining, diversity you will have in your international MBA program, and then what sort of passion you have to be a successful business leader, right? So these are the four key tenets, and you can cover during your HSC presentation. So from my side, I chose presentation on photography because I do photography. I love photography. So that's how I chose four of my best photos depicting the same HSC MBA Fellows office, and that's how, like, I kept it very subtle. I didn't want to, like, create a very professional presentation because I wanted to, like, hit the creativity side of it. So yeah, then I had, like, I presented this overall PPT I created to the two interviewers. Both were the HSC alumni, and, like, they basically tested my communication skills and then my overall clarity on why MBA from HSC Paris, right? So majorly, if you see, everybody is trying to understand, like, whether you know yourself or not, whether you are asking the right questions to yourself or not. So yeah, this is the whole overall application process at HEC Paris. So in MBA, like, in general, also in MBA interviews, interviewers are just trying to understand, like, what sort of clarity you have, at this moment. Like, how did you choose? How did you know, like, you are ready for an MBA? So yeah, like, and then, like, there will be some customized answers as per respective business school. So maybe you want to research more about that particular business school, and then you can talk about the key things which you noticed or liked from your side about that particular business school. So that will reflect your set of research for that particular business school. And that's how, like, for example, HEC Paris, HEC Paris is not there in Paris, right? It's near Joy and Josas. It's a city near Paris. It's a 30 minutes like, drive from Paris. So, like, not a lot of students while applying to HEC Paris know about this, right? So these small factors can take you a long way in your MBA application and during your interviews. So yeah, then we have the last point, like, additionally, both in essays and interviews. So yeah, like, again, this is my personal belief that, like, overall, if you're applying to any particular um, business school would be looking for majorly two things. One is how much sorted you are with your placements. Let's say you have a plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, whatever plans you have, right? Like, you can showcase, like, how sorted you are in terms of your placements, so that it doesn't hit any particular business school's record, right? So if you can prove that, +1 to you. Second thing would be if you can become a future business leader or not, right? Like, let's say if you hold certain leadership positions right now, if you're good at team building exercises, let's say team hiring exercises, working in a team, like, like, overall you're focusing on we and not I. So that's how, like, you can gain those leadership skills in your current job, in your current experiences, and operate with some empathy, right? So that's how you can prove, like, to become a future business leader. And if you can do that, like, any business school would love to have you. So this is my take. Like, if you can focus on these two things, mostly will be sorted. But again, like, as per profile, GMAT, and your overall preference, it hovers a lot. So now we'll talk about, like, what are the types and criteria we have at HEC Paris in terms of scholarships. So there are two types of scholarships. One is need based, second is merit based. So it has to be an excellent scholarship or a need based scholarship. HEC offers multiple need based or merit based scholarships. So some of the scholarships are like, offered by the school itself, and then there are some alumni run scholarships, like, there are some corporate run scholarships, and then there is also a scholarship offered by French government, right? So French government, and generally it's more aligned towards foreign nationals, because even French government understand that, like, locals have their own set of scholarships from, let's say, their undergrad schools, or from, like, locally run organizations. But so that's why, like, French government from their side, they focus on foreign national in terms of scholarship. But yeah, like, mostly the scholarships given by French government are merit based or need based. So like, like, these are the overall scholarships you can opt for. And in terms of scholarships, let's say if you're going from India, in India also there are a couple of organizations like VMix Scholars, working with the central government, right? So they also helps you out in terms of couple of scholarships offered in India. So you can go for that as well. And apart from that, just research on your side, like what sort of other sort of scholarships you have. Like for example, let's say if you're opting for a loan from Prodigy also offers a scholarship. So basis your overall merit, I think you will be cracking the scholarships. So just to talk about, like the percentages of scholarship, it can hover around from, let's say, 10% to almost 40%, because generally European business schools, they're not much expensive as compared to the US business schools. So in US, the scholarship ranges can be much higher. But in Europe, for example, for HEC Paris, the tuition fee hovers around 65 lakhs INR, right? So HEC Paris offers generally the scholarship from 10% to 30%, because it's not very high. It's much cheaper as compared to LBS or NCR, which hovers around 85 to 90 lakhs INR, right? So yeah. Now, yeah, like we'll talk about MBA life at HEC Paris, and also, like like I think these some of the general MBA life factors as well. So overall MBA life at HEC Paris, academically you have 4 terms, each of 3 months. Term one and term two generally are the most hectic ones, and then, like you can choose from. So term one and term two are like the structured phases, and term 3 and term 4 are more the customized plans which you can create for yourself. In term 3 and term 4, you have electives. You can have an extended internship along summer, and, like you can have MBA exchange program. You can choose to do any sort of MBA specialization, right? So it depends on you how hectic it is, your term 3 and term 4. But generally people during this time also focuses on their sort of experiences through internship. They prepare for their jobs, so maybe they're not taking too much sorry so they are not taking, let's say, too much electives, or let's say they are going for particular MBA specialization. So people do MBA specialization if they are very very clear, like what sort of role they would want to approach. Like let's say they want to have a strategy and operations MBA specialization, or they want to have digital transformation. Let's say they want to have entrepreneurship. So it depends, like what sort of background you have, and then, like how you are approaching your further journey. Apart from that, in terms of overall experiences through clubs and organizations, you will have multiple student clubs, and this is not this does not hold true for HEC only. It holds true for pretty much all the business schools, top notch business schools. You will have consulting clubs, you will have tech clubs, entrepreneurship clubs, you will have art clubs, and then, like you, and also you can go ahead and, if you don't find any particular club, you can go ahead and create your own club, right? So it depends. And just focus on what sort of interests you have, what sort of hobbies you have, and basis that you can choose to join the existing student clubs. Apart from that, HEC Paris has in-campus hostels for all the MBA students, but again, it's not compulsory. You can choose to live outside. People can choose to live in Joyeuse Jonsas, or they can choose to live in Paris directly, right? Maybe they are comfortable in commuting from Paris, right? So it depends. But HEC, at least for international students, it's a very good thing. Like they offer in-campus hostels, so that, like any international student not comfortable living outside the campus has the option, like to live inside the campus and learn from their peers. And like this is the good part about HEC. Like all the hostels, they have the restaurants and bars in them, and, like where you can just sit and chill out, and, like do your assignments or collaborate with other students. Then HEC also offers beautiful lake inside the campus where all the parties happen, barbecue parties. And then HEC Paris, since it comes from a 1850s background, where HEC Paris was a university not only for MBA, for whole lot programs like engineering programs as well. And today, inside the HEC Paris La Chateau, executive MBA, some events also happen, executive MBA programs also happen. So yeah, these are the main things to look at for the MBA life at HEC Paris. Outside HEC, again, in terms of France, HEC, it's very close to Versailles, also close to Paris, so you can choose to go to Louvre Museum, or let's say visit Eiffel Tower. You can choose to go to Bordeaux. Bordeaux is also a very good place to have to wine and dine. So yeah, there are a couple of places, and generally France is known for architecture and for a couple of museums, and then champagne and wines. So yeah, you can, outside HEC, you'll have multiple options. So now we'll talk about the overall career opportunities which HEC offers in terms of your post MBA. So HEC facilitates the placement of its MBA students in pretty much all type of industries. It depends on what sort of role or industry you're targeting, but pretty much the career team at HEC is very very strong in terms of getting you placed in consulting, PVC, like the private equity venture capital, and retail and luxury, CPG, consumer packaged goods, technology, startup industries, right? So HEC Careers team, they organize career treks for you, to all the potential markets. Like, let's say you don't want to work in the local language. You want, as an international MBA student, you would want to pursue jobs in English, right? So then you have London, you have Berlin, you have Amsterdam, you have Middle East, right? So where a career team can choose to organize the career treks for you. And that's how, apart from that, career teams always help you in terms of CV building, some guest speaker sessions, networking sessions with the alumni, and then you have, couple of business workshops. So overall, they'll help you out in terms of understanding what sort of role and industry you want to pursue, at the same time how to get there, in terms of networking, in terms of CV building, in terms of choosing the right company. And then, if you want to hit a particular geography, they also organize a career trek. So yeah, these career treks are very much important, because you'll get to, let's say if you're going to London for your career trek with your peers, you'll be visiting multiple companies, you'll be visiting London as a geography, and you'll gain a lot of insight in terms of, whether you would want to get settled in London or not. So nowadays, HEC is giving very, very extra importance on entrepreneurship, and it has been a use case for Europe as a market in general. All the schools, for example, INSEAD, LBS, Oxford, Cambridge, everyone, they are focusing on entrepreneurship a bit more, and same as HEC. And from past 3 to 4 years, a lot of HEC alumni have started their own firms. Typically in the e-commerce platform side. So yeah, you can watch out for that. Majorly, as we know, post MBA, students would love to go into consulting. So yeah, with HEC also, all major recruiting firms recruit from HEC Paris, like McKinsey, BCG, Bain, LEK, Accenture, Deloitte. So yeah, you can watch out for that. So as I said, I applied to 5 business schools. I got into ISB. I got into HEC Paris. I got into Cambridge Judge. I chose HEC Paris because it was my number one preference. And so now we'll talk about, what sort of application process we have for Cambridge. So Cambridge has if you are having a GMAT score of 680 plus, the same thing, in terms of essays, you'll have 7 8 long answer questions, 2 3 short answer questions. And it's a change from HEC. Like HEC needs 2 LOR, Cambridge only needs 1 LOR. So you can choose to have best of your recommender to write your letter of recommendation for Cambridge. Then shortlisted, the essay content and everything is pretty much same as we discussed about HEC Paris. Let's say if you get shortlisted, post your application, you'll be invited for interview within 3 weeks of your application. Candidates will get interviewed by a Cambridge Judge professor, uh, who again will be seeking to understand your thought process and why you want to do MBA at Cambridge. And then you'll talk about couple of skill sets, and then you can choose, like, let's say you're more inclined towards consulting, you can choose to have a case study over that interview. Let's say if you are approaching entrepreneurship from your side, maybe you would want to discuss a particular problem statement you would want to solve in the industry. So it depends on you. Finally, like, when candidates are selected, like, they get updated in next 3 weeks of their interviews. And yeah, this is the overall journey with Cambridge, and the content is pretty much the same. Like, to know yourself, to know why you want to do MBA. So now we are coming to the last leg of the overall presentation. So these are the key lessons I have for you. That MBA application, like, will make the path and touch every phase of your life, every key experience of your life. Like, whatever skill sets you have learned, whatever long lasting relationships you have created, your networking skills, your communication skills, everything will be touched upon, right? So MBA application is a very engrossing activity. Like, it will overall help you out. Let's say even if you're applying to particular business schools and unfortunately you're not getting selected, still you would know how to approach your career overall. So it's that kind of a journey. Second thing is, like, whenever you're writing your application, like, generally people try to copy or imitate other successful MBA applicants. Don't try to do that. Just be yourself while writing the application. You can always glorify things up, but don't lie at all. And, like, in terms of glorifying things up, it's fine. Like, if you're bound to become a future leader, you have to sell yourself in the application. That's fine, but at least be yourself while writing. Don't copy material from others. Don't try to imitate experiences of others, and just focus on your strengths. So yeah, like, this is pretty much it. Thank you for joining.
Thank you very much, Prabhat, for such a detailed description of the entire admissions process, and also for the overview of MBA life at HEC and the campus life, obviously the interesting part,
Yeah,
and
thanks.
and also the career progressions that people get from HEC. So, guys, please make sure to note the key things which Prabhat said is that during the application process you have to focus on every aspect of your life. For example, the presentation which he did for HEC was focused around his photography skills and not around his KPMG graceful consulting work, which most of us would make the rookie mistake of doing that, right? So we have to make sure that we glorify each aspect of our life in a balanced way. They're looking for balanced people who are also good human beings, and they want an opportunity to see that. And if we only replicate our resumes in the essays, then probably we are not doing the right thing. And before we move on to Q&A, just a quick heads up that if you guys want to connect with mentors from your target B schools, please make sure to check out mentoroni.com. We are doing this session in association with Mentoroni. And if you guys want to schedule a free consulting session with the consultants at GMATWhiz, please make sure to check out this link. It will take you to a calendar and you can book a slot for yourself, and the session will be free of cost, and it will help you understand where you stand in your MBA application journey. All right, so with that, let's move to the Q&A session. And just give me a second. Yeah. All right, so this is the time for your questions. And yeah, we have two questions, Prabhat. And first one is that what are the admission deadlines for HEC Paris? He has heard that it's a rolling process, and he wants to understand the rolling process and September, October application.
Got it.
Over to you, Prabhat.
So yeah, like, overall, hi Akhilesh. Thanks for asking the right question. Actually, I forgot to add the rolling deadline thing. So for HEC Paris, as I said, they have two intakes, one in January and second in September, right? So let's say if you are applying for September, they have a rolling deadline. Let's say you can apply from February onwards. Every month, every mid of month, you can apply for HEC, and that's how they have a rolling deadline, right? Like you can choose to apply in February, you can choose to apply in March, you can choose to apply in April, and that's how it goes. So from for September intake, you can choose to apply from February till October, November, December, and then for January you have a newer deadline. So you can choose whenever you're applying, you can choose what intake you would want to get enrolled in, and that's how HEC Paris doesn't block you in any way. Whenever you're ready with your profile, whenever you're ready with your resume, your GMAT, everything sorted out, you can just go ahead and apply for HEC cohort. So you can choose, let's say, at this moment of time, you can choose to join January intake, you can choose to join September intake. So that's how it works. I
Prabhat,
hope I've
one
answered your
one
question.
quick follow-up question on this.
Yeah.
Uh, so, do students have any preference? Does the admission committee give any preference to R1, R2, R3, such kind of
Yeah.
application like
Yeah.
rounds?
So,
What are your thoughts?
overall, let's say if I'm applying for this is how I approach. If I'm applying for, let's say, September 21 intake, I would love to apply as per the usual norm of round one for all other colleges, right? Because anyways, you'll not be applying to HEC Paris only. You would be at least applying to, let's say, three or four more colleges, right? So generally, everyone has their deadline during, starting from September to the end of September. So you can choose, you can apply for HEC in October also, you can apply for HEC in August also. Generally, from the preference point of view, if you're applying from August, September, October months, it's a more suitable chances for you, because the cohort would be filling, right? You can always apply in October, not for September 21 intake, maybe for September 22 intake, right? So it depends on the cohort and the filling of those batches. That's how it is.
Thank you, Prabhat. So, guys, it's a first come, first serve. That
Yeah.
principle is followed everywhere, no matter what you're doing. So, the next question is, Prabhat, it is about your short-term and long-term MBA goals. But, guys, before Prabhat answers this question, so please don't try to imitate anything in your application from somebody else's application, because these admission committees at these top-notch B schools, they are made of brilliant people, so they will know if you copy. So just a heads up on that. Now, Prabhat, over to you.
Yeah. So in terms of my short-term MBA goals, since I have a supply chain background, I'm not looking to shift to any other industry. Since I've been working in consulting and strategy, I'm not looking to shift my role also. So for me, it's pretty much straightforward. I'm only looking to explore new geographies. So my in short term, I would be looking to join e-commerce platforms or renowned startups in Europe. For example, Gorillas, it correlates with the same similar business model as of Dunzo. Then Amazon is there, and also I have I'm leaning towards CPG industries. For example, I can apply for Apple, Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, the major FMCG industries. So my role would be sorted. My role will be always into the strategy and operations. And secondly, these are my overall short-term companies. In the long term, I'm looking to explore again with my own venture. So just an anecdote, HSC also has entrepreneurship club, and I've got selected for the entrepreneurship club, and that's how I'm approaching. I would love to connect with fellow co-founders and fellow entrepreneurs at HEC. So that's how I'm approaching. I would be paying off my student loan, let's say in 2 to 3 years, and whenever I'm debt free and I have certain financial stability, I would love to again enter the market with my own set of problem statement to solve for. But at the same time, this has been my learning from my startup that these days it's not about the problem statement you're solving for. Again, it matters a lot, but if you have the right team and if you can choose the right location, you're mostly sorted, right? So these are my learnings from my previous venture, and that's how in the longer run, I would love to again explore the overall agri-tech space, which I ventured earlier.
Right. Thank you for sharing, Prabhat. Uh, so the next question is around the job fair. Uh, Nikhil has asked this question. He's planning to apply to HEC for Masters in Finance. And he's saying that I have heard that campus job fair was suspended due to COVID. How will it affect the students this year?
Okay. So, first of all, in terms of masters from HEC, I haven't researched a lot. But in general, from job and placement perspective, I can tell you um, in India we have a placement team which works for your placements, right? And then you have companies coming to your campus recruiting from your colleges. Across the world, especially from business schools, apart from India, especially in US and Europe, networking is the key thing. Overall careers team will help you out in terms of building your CV, approaching your right role in industry, having some network of alumni or any sort of business leader in a particular preferred company, right? They can help you out with that, but at the same time, you would be the one who would be applying for companies. You would be the one who would be networking with people in the right companies, getting the referrals, or maybe going by usual channels. So it's only your profile. Even if the job fairs are suspended, let's say due to COVID, I'm sure, in COVID, overall, the job scenarios would have been affected a lot. But I think if you have the right profile, if you're sure of your strengths, and if you know, why you are changing a particular job industry, or let's say job role, then I think you're mostly sorted. So it's solely about, what sort of workshops and CV building workshops or any sort of networking sessions your career team is providing to you. Rest is up to you, how you are approaching it. So if you're going to a particular US business school or Europe business school, it's pretty much the same for everyone. Yeah, thanks.
Just to add on to that, that even if career fairs happen or don't happen at a particular campus, a giant part of MBA is your LinkedIn exercise, which
Yeah.
which you're supposed to use, like maybe you use Instagram at the current stage, like every day 20, 30 minutes on the LinkedIn app, networking with different kind of people from the industry of your choice, and that is what international MBA means. So even though the COVID situations have affected campus job fairs a little bit, but the overall placements do not get that much affected because the majority of the chunk comes from the networking. All right. So the next question is from Warren Thomas. Any disadvantages of completing MBA in non-English speaking country such as France, Italy, Spain, etc.? All right.
Okay. So,
Over to you, Prabhat. Yeah,
yeah.
I can also comment on that.
So, in terms of non-English speaking country, so yeah, let's say if you're going to HEC Paris, if you know French, it would be helpful to you in terms of experiencing their culture a whole lot better, right? But it depends on school to school. Like for example, HEC Paris and NCR are known for their international experiences. So only 4 to 5% French nationals study in NCR and HEC Paris, right? And mostly you have international audience. So at inside campus, it's completely English speaking experience. But let's say if you want to network in Paris, if you want to network in the local and the major cities of a particular non-English speaking countries, uh, it's better. It's always better to have a basic understanding of their local language. Now, in terms of completing the MBA, there is no disadvantage. You can always choose, what sort of markets you want to hit post your MBA. As I said in my presentation, also, let's say if you're looking out for English speaking jobs, so in Europe, overall EMEA, the potential markets are London, especially for the fintech background, and other startups as well. And then Netherlands, Amsterdam. Then Berlin is a hub of, it's a new Silicon Valley of Europe, right? So you have a lot of startups, English speaking jobs will be provided. And then you have luxury and retail segment in Paris. You will have couple of English speaking jobs in Paris as well. So yeah, there are no disadvantages of doing MBA. Like, if let's say if you are choosing a particular business school which has a higher for like, no, local national studying there, maybe you can face some disadvantage, but rest is up to you. Like overall, how you are driving your overall MBA experience. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Prabhat. And just to add on to this, are there any advantages of doing MBA from a school which from a country which has different native language? Depends on the school you go to. For HEC Paris and schools of similar stature, the answer is no. There are no disadvantages, and also depends on the job you want to do. For example, let's say you want to work for a consulting firm and you want to work on a project which requires you to have local language. Then definitely yes, you have the disadvantage. But within the same consulting firm, you will have this. You will have projects which will have clients from different locations across the globe. Then they will need you to speak English, and also what Prabhat mentioned about startups, that's completely correct. And not just the startups, different e-commerce companies such as Amazon, such as Gorilla, such as Takeaway.com. So these companies do, like, not just these companies, many companies require English speaking candidates, and good B school candidates do not have a disadvantage. The reason you should be focusing to learn the local languages such as French, Dutch, German, or Spanish is that after 5 years, if you apply when you apply for citizenship, then they will require you to have a B1. They might
Yeah.
also need you to sing the national anthem, right?
Yeah.
So, and if you want to integrate well into the society, that is where you need it, but not for the courses. No. Okay. The next question is from Kabir. He has about 11 years of experience, and he wants to know whether there is any limit for full-time international MBA, and wanted to know if HEC has a limit, or and he also wants to know whether his experience will be fine fit for the HEC international full-time MBA program.
Oh, got it. So overall, there are 2 points to it. One is like, first of all, HEC doesn't like, limit you in terms of applying with whatever experience you have. But there are 2 points to having a such kind of experience. One is like, let's say if you want to switch your role or your geography or your, like, overall industry, um, it's always better to apply early, because maybe you are more specialist in terms of your overall experiences. Second thing is like, if you can add uniqueness to your overall cohort, it doesn't matter. Like, from so one is from your post MBA perspective, one is your pre MBA perspective. So in terms of your pre MBA perspective, if you have the uniqueness in your profile to offer to your overall cohort, like thumbs up for that. HEC won't limit you in terms of your application. But in terms of your post MBA role, because overall you need to see that post MBA everyone would be there like at the similar role, or maybe at some average similar package, right? So maybe you wanna consider that before applying. But yes, in our cohort also, we have people who have been working. Let's say I have one person in my batch who has been working in sports consulting for past 12 years, right? So it's up to you if you can add that uniqueness, and if you want to continue in that particular field, it like thumbs up for that. If you want to change your job, if you want to change your role or industry, maybe like, because you have become more specialist in your role, maybe that's how it would work. But let's say if you have changed your roles or industry during these 11 years of experience, MBA can still add value to your profile. Thank you.
Again, thank you, Prabhat, for an insightful answer. And Kabir, from GMATWhiz side, I would tell you one thing, that look that you need to see whether how you fit into the MBA program, how well do you culturally and professionally fit into the program. If you see that you fit really well, you should definitely go ahead and apply with confidence. And you should also see what Prabhat said, that how do your short-term and long-term goals align with most of the career opportunities after that MBA program. And there are different kind of schools which have higher work experience candidates. I am sharing the link of free consulting session with us. Just log on to that, and we can discuss further offline with you. All right. The next session, the next question is: any disadvantages in applying to R2 for other colleges?
Overall, like how round one, round two, round three operates is like in round one you have the maximum chances of getting scholarship, right? And in round two and round three you will get selected, but at the same time you need to see from the perspective of an admissions committee, right? Like let's say you have a pool, and then students are getting filled in that pool. Obviously, the competition will be very very stiff, right? So that's how, like, these are the small advantages of applying in round two and round three. Like, competition would be very very stiff because obviously you're taking more time in terms of preparing for your MBA application, and so does other students. So maybe, like, there are other students as well who would be applying, and the seats are limited, right? So this is one like small disadvantage in terms of selection like getting selected in the school, but it's a very small margin of disadvantage. But the major thing is towards a scholarship side. Like if you want to avail let's say merit based or need based scholarship, I think you should be applying in round one.
All right. Thank you. Thank you again, Prabhat, for reiterating what you already said in the presentation, I think. Yeah. Uh, okay. So next question is towards MBA life. What is the procedure to join clubs, which you mentioned, and how can we attain the group head secretary, which is the group presidents, or similar sort of leadership positions after getting into those? All right.
Got it.
This is
So,
from Mohit.
procedure to join the clubs is pretty much simple. Like, you would be having an post, you have already written your MBA application. It will be very, very simple application for you, right? So, clubs will be rolling out some application to understand your thought process, why you want to join particular club. And it depends on school to school, by the way. In HEC Paris, all the club registrations are free. In US business schools, I've heard, like, there are some chargeable clubs as well, right? So but it depends on school to school. Application is pretty much simple. Like you would be like sharing your details, your background, and then couple of questions you'll be answering on why you want to join that particular club and how would you be contributing towards the success of it, right? But the overall the leadership positions, it depends on your profile. Let's say you're coming from a consulting background and you would want to have a leadership position in a tech club. Maybe, like if you haven't worked in tech side of things, it may be difficult for you, right? So overall leadership depends on your overall experience. Let's say for example, I have a very pretty strong experience on the entrepreneurship side of things, so I would go for entrepreneurship club's leader position. But let's say I don't have a manufacturing, or let's say any sort of retail background, and if I want to join retail and luxury club, I cannot expect to be the president or director of it, right? So that's how it works. Like overall, if you have experience, you can surely go for it. But generally, the applications are pretty much simpler, at least after your MBA application, which will be very, very time consuming.
Thank you again, Prabhat. And these club activities are very, I think, quite fun. Like you get to interact with different kind of people, and there are at times there are some elections or something. Then you
Yeah.
get to face the real heat, political heat. So it's quite fun, I think. Yeah. Are you planning to apply for any of the club presidents or something, Prabhat?
So from my side, I'm planning to. I've already joined entrepreneurship club,
Oh, that's brilliant.
and the election which you talked about will be happening once we are there at the campus, right?
Mhm.
So in terms of creating and drafting the team, you need to see, like what sort of role you would be having. So maybe in entrepreneurship club, I would not want to become president. I would rather want to become the overall program specialist, because at the end in entrepreneurship club, I would love to interact with startups, right? So,
Okay,
so
totally relate with that.
yeah.
Okay, moving on with that, the next question is again a reiteration of what you have said already. What is the GMAT range for applicants at HEC Paris with non-traditional background?
Got it. So first of all, if you have a non-traditional background, I guess you're not from typical engineering background, or let's say CA background, right? So if you have a non-traditional background, let's say from arts, if you're a lawyer or a doctor, thumbs up for that, because you are the right cohort which we would be required for getting selected in an MBA school, because you would be sharing those anecdotes from very different lens, right? So if you're coming from a non-traditional background, the range would be much lower. But I would not say, like it would be lower by, let's say, more than 10 points. But yeah, like overall for HEC, the range hovers around from 700 to 750 generally. And for other European business schools, it generally hovers around 680 to 750. And then for NCR and let's say LBS, it hovers around somewhere around 720 to 770. So yeah, that's how the range works. Especially in terms of non-traditional background, you can expect from the average like 10 points lower than the average. That's how it is.
Thank you again, Prabhat. Those who are struggling with the GMAT, just hang on with us during this presentation for 5 more minutes. I have something really interesting coming for you. If you're really struggling with the GMAT and you need something, so bear with us for 5 more minutes while we take the next and the last question. This is a very interesting question. I like this question. Thank you, Nikhil, for asking this. How much money should one keep aside for personal expenses for 9 months during HEC Masters program?
Okay. So it depends, how you wanna live your life in France, because like let's say if you're going from India, things are much expensive for you, right? So I'll tell you how I have planned my personal expenses. So you will be taking loan for your tuition fees and tuition expenses for sure, and that's for HEC. That's somewhere around 65 lakhs INR. Apart from that, overall. If you choose to have housing inside the campus or let's say outside the campus, then the food expenses and the travel expenses, it hovers somewhere around 15 to 20 lakhs overall for 16 months. So it's not that high because HEC offers you the cheap accommodation inside the campus just at less than 600 euros per month. So it's quite cheap as compared to other accommodation you will get in Paris or let's say other European nations. And apart from that, it's totally up to you, man. How you're planning your trips, how you are planning your parties, and whether you would want to explore more in terms of traveling to Louvre or Eiffel Tower or any of the European nations, or you would want to focus on your post MBA goals. It's up to you. So from my side, I've planned to keep it somewhere around 20 to 25 lakhs. So that's how overall in terms of 90 lakhs INR or maximum 1 crore, I would be sorted for at least 16 months. So that's how I've done.
Thank you very much for sharing your personal plan, Prabhat, and that is I hope that guides our participants. Nikhil, just to add on to that, apart from your housing, if you live a little bit on the conservative side, you don't party a lot, you don't travel every month, then within 500 euros, you should be able to manage it pretty well. Like with a little bit of socializing and with a little bit of outing, and then depending a lot on yourself on home cooked food, if that is something you're good at. Okay, so moving on with that, uh, we had our Q&A session. So I'll tell you a little bit about GMATWhiz application service. So as Prabhat also said, that your overall story is very important. So at GMATWhiz, the first thing that we do with our candidates is that we work on your story formation, and then we help you in school selection, because your list of target schools is really important. You cannot only apply to HBS, or you cannot only apply to ESCP, where probably everybody will get in, right? So the right mix is really important. And once and this school selection is done on the basis of your short-term, long-term goals and your capabilities at the current moment. After that, we provide 2 essay reviews, and we also help you in suggesting your recommenders, that how your LORs should be, and we also provide edits for your CV. We try to optimize your CV, because most of the candidates after 5-6 years of experience have their CVs designed as per ATS, and B schools don't really have the ATS, so there you have to change it a bit. So after essay, CV, and LOR reviews, then we have your, as I said, resume review, and then we do your interview prep. So right now most of the schools have your Kira interview process, which is which is just one-sided interview. You're talking to a machine, and usually after candidates clear the Kira interview, they go for in-person interview. So we give you 2 interview preparation rounds as well. And this is the fee for like our application fee for 3 schools and for 5 schools. And moving on, this is what I was telling you guys about our GMAT program. So last week, in 7 days, we had seven GMAT applicants who scored more than 700 in with us at, who studied with us at GMATWhiz. And so we are celebrating this with 57% off. So this is a mega sale, and the link is simple: gmatwiz.com. So if you're struggling with GMAT, make sure to log on to the website and see if it's good for you. And so yeah, you can always reach out to us at support@gmatwiz.com, and you can register with us for your free trial for admission consulting. And this will be a free 30-minute consulting call. So the calendar link, it is here, and I'll also share this link with you guys on in the comment section, so that yeah, yeah, just give me a second. It is in the comment section as well. So please check it out, guys, and book and feel free to book a free consulting session with us. And yeah, with that, I'll say thank you very much for joining, and we'll see you soon on next Saturday for the next with the next speaker. And Prabhat, thank you very much for taking out the time to join the session with us and to guide our audience about their MBA journey. Because I understand, like you would also have been clueless at one point of time that where to apply, how to apply, and there are different kind of essay questions. What if you had an alternate life? Come on, it is difficult to write an essay about my current life, and
Yeah.
they want you to write an essay about your alternate life, right?
Yeah.
So the session was really insightful for us, and from everybody in GMATWhiz team, we thank you for joining the session and taking out your time. And bye bye everyone. With that,
Thanks a lot, guys, for joining. Thank you. Bye bye.
yeah.